So today we're going to dive into the style of the great Freddie King, one of my very first guitar heroes. I've put together a little solo for the lesson today. This takes inspiration from Freddie's instrumental San-Ho-Zay, specifically the live version, which you can find on YouTube. I'll put the link down in the description. I've got a special guitar for today's performance. This is a Gibson Custom Shop Freddie King Tribute ES345. Let's play the solo down and then we'll break down some of the licks. So there's a few signature licks in here that I want to break down for you guys. Now, most of Freddie's playing uses a combination of the major and minor pentatonic scales, but what makes his style so special is his incredible phrasing and touch. He's got a really phenomenal sense of groove and always places his phrases in the perfect spot. He's also got a really powerful tone and powerful touch in his hands. And in my opinion, he's got the greatest bending vibrato of any guitarist ever. So this first idea is something Freddie often plays when going to the 4 chord. Today we're in the key of C, so our 4 chord is F or F7. And the lick that I played in the solo is something like this. And this is a phrase taken directly from Freddie's solo on that live version of San-Ho-Zay. But what's cool about this lick is as he goes to the 4 chord, he grabs this note G with his first finger and bends it up a whole step. And bending that note up a whole step gives you A, which is the major third of this F chord that we're going to. So he's kind of subtly targeting the chord tone of that chord and just playing something to kind of address the sound of that chord. This isn't a phrase you'll hear him play in other spots. He kind of uses this specifically when going to the 4 chord to give that chord its own specific treatment and sound. So and everything else in there is mostly out of the minor pentatonic, this kind of minor pentatonic box. But he does slide down from the minor third down to the 9, from E flat down to D, and then down to C, which is a pretty nice little move. Later in the solo, I do sort of another variation on this same idea, this same first finger bend from G up to A, but I combine it with another signature phrase of Freddie's, which is kind of this major pentatonic flourish that he does a lot. So this little lick is something he uses a ton in his playing in different ways, and it's basically just sliding up to the major third of C, which is the note E, and then going right up the major pentatonic scale. And you'll hear him kind of do this in a fast way, kind of combining it with other minor pentatonic licks. But the way I did it in my solo, combining it with that first idea, was to go up this major pentatonic lick, down to the root, and then right? So combining these different ideas together, and that's a big part of what learning blues phrasing is all about. And one of the great things that you can get from players like Freddie King and also B.B. King and Otis Rush, guys like this, is they have all these great little phrases that can be linked together in different orders. So another sort of signature of Freddie's that he does a lot is this kind of string skipping thing, which I just did there in that phrase, which is to grab the root up on the high E string and then skip down one string and grab the minor third. So C on top, down to E flat. And you kind of pop that top string with your finger. Now, this brings up another important point about Freddie's style, is that he played with a metal thumb pick and a metal finger pick on his index finger. So when you watch him play, he's using his thumb and index finger with metal picks on them. So it has a really aggressive sound. And you can kind of replicate that by popping the strings with your fingers, also just digging in extra aggressive. But the other thing to think about is actually playing more with upstrokes, especially when you're playing on the high E string, because he was pulling up on the string with his index finger when he was playing on that string. By digging in aggressively and upstroking with the pick, you can kind of get a similar thing. Right? You can kind of get this more edgy, aggressive attack, even with a plastic pick, by doing those aggressive upstrokes. So, right, so these are a few different things to consider and to listen for when you're checking out Freddie King's style. I really encourage you to dig into his videos on YouTube. I'll put a few links down in the description. The old videos from the 60s where he's, playing with Clarence Gatemouth Brown is really great stuff. It's really that kind of classic early Freddie King. If you don't have any of his early stuff, I highly recommend getting like a compilation album or checking out some of the compilation albums online of his early Federal recordings, all of his instrumentals and kind of early standard tunes, which have really become like blues standards at this point. But then he continued to do some amazing stuff throughout the 70s. I'll link a few of my favorite videos in there. He's really one of my all-time favorite guitar players, and I certainly wouldn't play the guitar the way that I do without his influence. So this solo and this backing track are going to be available to download up on my Patreon site, so you can dig into the tabs and notation for the solo and use this sort of San-Ho-Zay style backing track to jam to. All right, happy practicing and take care.